Call the meeting to order of Inland Wetlands Commission for March 4th, 2026. And I will ask Bruce to call the roll, please.
Ned Stachin,
Here.
Robert Eisner,
Here.
David Fox,
Here.
Berlandi, Dan Popovic,
Here.
Andre Simons,
Present.
Mark Simpson,
Here.
Elena Carbeth,
Here.
and Frank Roth.
Present.
All right, Chair, it's all yours.
Okay, so I would like to put Frank Rath in for Rich Berlandi, please,
Okay.
for the record. And with that, the first item on the agenda is 94 Alpine Drive.
Okay. The applicant is here. He was here. Yep, there he is.
Still here.
Okay, does the applicant have anything else to add or want to give a quick summary as to what the highlights were?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Peter Stedevendemi. I'm the homeowner at 94 Alpine Drive, and we applied and approved for a variance for the setbacks to the zoning committee for an in-ground pool installation in our rear yard. Due to the uniqueness of our property being bisected on the town lines, this is the only location that we're able to put it. So we had asked for a variance to reduce the setbacks to from I think it was 50 feet on the rear and 25 on the side to 12 and 10 to install an in-ground pool, as you see there. And during the review of the variance, it was determined that this is there's wetlands about 100 and I think it was 150 feet or something back into the woods to the northeast of the property. That was identified when they built Stevens Circle, so yes, that's why I'm here. That's a summary of where we're at, and the location of the pool is the only location we can do it, given the proximity of the yard and the house and the deck and the foundation. So we needed the variance either way.
Okay. Let's just see if anybody had questions, any additional questions on this. Andre?
I do not have any questions on this.
Okay. Dave Fox?
No questions.
Robert Eisner?
No questions. And Mr. Chair, I'll note for the record that I was not present at the last meeting, but as I listened to the tapes, I've reviewed the minutes and I've reviewed the application materials.
Thank you. Dan?
No questions.
Mark Simpson?
No questions.
Alana?
Elena, you there? She was there.
Yeah,
Maybe
no questions.
Okay. And Frank Roth?
No questions.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions. I think we covered it all last week. It does seem like you have kind of a hardship with the way the house is set on the property and the town line there. So I think that you were amenable to using the town's recommended silt fence and straw wattles for around
Yes.
the construction areas. Okay.
Yes, we can. Yes.
And when did you think this construction was going to take place?
This spring.
Okay. All right, so you'll be working with town planning to get them to take a look at the site before, and your silt fence and straw wattles before you start construction, and to work with the town as the construction progresses.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the application.
So moved.
We
Okay, and a second, please.
To
Second
approve?
it.
No,
Because last time we
no, I'm wrong. Sorry. I thought I heard accept instead of approve. Sorry. My fault.
yeah, we did that already. Okay.
Andre, who seconded?
Andre made the motion. Is there a second, please?
I second it.
Who
Okay,
was that?
motion.
Oh, Frank. Gotcha.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to approve the application for 94 Alpine Drive. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain, motion passes. So just keep the town informed as to your progress and good luck with the pool.
Thank you. We will.
All right. Next item on the agenda is Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings for lot 8261 on Peeneman Road. Bruce, I know, I mean, they did a rather extensive presentation at the last meeting, but we're still not really, we haven't done the site meeting yet. Do you want them? I'm not really sure if there's anything else that they would provide until we do the site meeting or, well, actually, I'll change that. I'll let the application, have you made any changes or to your plans since the feedback from the board?
Good evening, Taylor Capel here from Solely Engineering. We have not made any of the changes yet as we were waiting for the site walk to take place.
Okay.
That way any additional comments can be addressed all at the same time.
Very good. I understand. All right, so Bruce, all we really have to do on this tonight then is to set the site walk.
Yeah, I mean,
Correct.
and unless any of the commissioners have any other questions that they've thought of since the last.
Sure, yeah. Now that you've had a little more time to go over the information, are there any questions from the commission? I guess I'll poll people. Andre?
I do not have any questions.
Okay, Dave Fox?
I do have one suggestion on the presentation. With regard to the two presumed vernal pools, I thought it would be a good idea to have a little chart that showed under existing conditions and then under proposed conditions, the percentage of habitat in the 100 and the 750 circles.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have right now.
A good suggestion. Okay, Robert?
Yes, and I'll note for the record, I wasn't present for the February 18th meeting, but I have since listened to the recordings, reviewed the minutes and the application materials. With that said, I would also add my concurrence that there should be ongoing assessment of the potential vernal pool areas, and I agree that we should also hear in more detail the potential alternatives that exist for the development project. And then when we get to scheduling, I can do both this weekend and next weekend for a potential site walk and have comments.
Thank you. Dan Popovic?
No questions.
Okay, Mark Simpson?
None at this time.
Okay. Alana?
No further questions.
All right, Frank?
No questions.
Okay, I really don't have any questions. I just want to kind of reiterate what was said before, and that I think it's not a bad plan to develop that corner and to have the gas station. I just think you know, because being going right next to the exit there, it makes sense, and I can understand that. I just think that, you know, having the gas station, the restaurant, and the storage building all in there makes or requires that everything be built closer to the edge of the vernal pools, and I wished, so I'll just ask the applicant, to take that into consideration as we set up our site walk.
Understood. We'll take that into
Okay.
consideration. Thank you.
And so Bruce, do we want to go with what, the 15th, was it?
Yeah, I think we threw in this Saturday or this weekend, and we threw in next weekend. There's
Yeah.
still quite a bit of snow out there. It's melting quickly with the weather today, and then with the rain coming, and with some more warmer weather next week. I feel it may be best to try to shoot for the 15th.
Yeah,
Or
well,
I think, yeah, because Andre, you can't do the 14th, right? Saturdays?
Andre, can you do were you out away for the 14th? All right, whatever. But I think we had talked about the 8th or the 15th.
Exactly, yep.
Um, and just, for the record, when we were discussing this, we had only had the first large snowstorm, and then we came along the second large snowstorm. So uh, I don't think the 8th is really going to tell us much. So I think we're better off waiting for the 15th.
So unless nobody has a problem with the 15th, I will send out let's plan for the 15th. What I could do is send out an email maybe on Wednesday to everybody, or next Wednesday, just to confirm and make sure the weather's holding out, and then we'll set it for the 15th, if that works for everybody. And 8 o'clock, good?
I'm all right with 8. Is that
Sounds
okay
good
with
to me.
people? Okay.
Works here.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll touch base next Wednesday to confirm and pencil in Sunday the 15th. And I think we discussed with the applicant that I think we wanted to see some of the surveying done for that proposed warehouse
Yes.
and the retaining wall along the wetlands.
Yes.
And I think we wanted the field, I think we wanted the edges of the potential vernal pool flagged up.
Mhm.
And that way, and then I think the thought was we would pull a tape measure from that to the edge of that retaining wall and or that parking area here too. Maybe include this area as well, this point here.
Okay.
That way we can,
Sure.
here to the vernal pool, here to the vernal pool, and then the commission will have an understanding where this is. And
Mhm.
this is easy, we can just draw a line out in the field and find that point.
Yeah. Yes, we'll have the surveyor stake out all three buildings, the four corners at all three buildings, so you'll see where they are all going to be. The retaining wall as well was discussed last week or 2 weeks ago, sorry. And we can also have them put the corners of that parking area closest to the wetlands there.
I'll throw it out now while we got everybody here. Parking is a little difficult there. But Mike, is there parking across the street in any of your areas that you think we could use and walk over?
I think the best thing to do would be probably park at the Frisbee's Dairy Barn. And
Okay.
then there's plenty of parking there. It's not open at that time. And then we can walk over if that's okay with everybody.
All right, I'll send out a map for everyone to show where we'll park. All right, just in case you don't know. All right. All right, so we'll plan on the 15th at 8 o'clock, and I'll follow up on next Wednesday.
Very good.
Very
Thank
good.
All right, everybody?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, next item on the agenda is JBS Developers, 598 Plainville Road. Is the applicant present?
Yeah. He was.
Good evening, members of the commission, Mr. Chairman. For the applicant, JBS Developers LLC, my name is Brian Panicum with Cole Civil and Survey. Also with us tonight, I believe, is David Lord, who's the soil scientist who flagged the wetlands on this project. Some of you may remember this project. We had presented it briefly. We had done a site walk. There had been some initial questions as to where the wetlands went and how they kind of work their way from the property to the north down to the west. And then there was also some question when we were out in the field. You'll notice in the northeast corner of the property, there was a culvert crossing that came across the street there. And we did, David Lord did go back out, and we kind of found some additional location of some wetland area. Um, since then, what we've gone through and done is we've actually redesigned the site based on some of that new wetland delineation, some of the initial feedback that we had gotten during that initial site walk, um, and just some of the obviously staff questions, concerns, comments. Um, Bruce, if you want to jump to the next slide there, I'll give you a brief outline. So originally, so this is an R40 zone property. We are developing it for a 55 and older community. So one common ownership, not individual lots, but individual homes. Um, and originally we had 20 units on here. We have since basically taken the limits of our cul-de-sac and the limits of our disturbance and kind of pulled them to the east. Um, and now we have 18 units on here. The same amount of open space will be deeded, the same, effectively the same limits of clearing and everything are still there. The wetland area, it was more the proximity to the northeast that we had some concerns about, and then how everything crossed in kind of on this sheet, at least the northwest corner, where you'll see that white kind of other structure to the north, how that crossed and came into the property. So that portion is the newer flagged wetland areas. So again, as we pulled that cul-de-sac back and we removed a couple of units, we tried to redesign the site a little more effectively. Made the detention basin substantially larger so that effectively any runoff heading toward the wetland gets intercepted by either that detention basin there, or there is a kind of a forebay just to the north of that basin. So pretty much all of the runoff coming off of the site gets intercepted by one of those basins. And then we provide the water quality in those basins before it's allowed to reach the wetlands. Site has public water and sewers. There's an acre and a half of actual wetlands on the property. There are 6.26 acres of upland review area within that 150-foot upland review area. That's on this map, the line that's delineated in blue that runs through the property. The wetlands obviously delineated in the orange on this map. We have 3.7 acres of upland review impact with the development. However, of that 3.7 acres, only 1.2 acres of that would be actually like new disturbance, actual tree clearing for the detention basin, and some portions of of unit 9 and 10, which are the two that are southwest of the cul-de-sac, the closest to the wetlands there. The remaining portion of the property that's in the upland review has already basically been disturbed, either through the farming and stuff that had happened on the site prior, or the installation of that sewer main that runs through the property as well. Again, I know David Lord is here with us tonight, so I'd like for him to maybe go through and discuss a little bit of the wetland characteristics, functions, and values of these wetlands and how our project relates to those. David?
Yes, good evening. This is David Lord. I did the wetland delineation and function and values assessment with the original development. The wetlands are shown on the drawing that is on the screen at present. They begin in the northeast corner on site. Surface water can flow northerly, northwesterly, parallel to this property and from the adjacent property, and it enters back into the site in the, I'll say, the northwest corner of the proposed development site, with flow to the south, southwest into offsite wetlands. The wetlands themselves consist of poorly to very poorly drained soils. There are intermittent water courses in sections within the defined wetland areas themselves. They primarily are located either off-site to the north or in the far west portion of the property, where the two wider sections of wetland are joined by a narrow band moving in the southwesterly direction. The soils, as I mentioned, are poorly drained to very poorly drained. They're mineral soils with a usual to moderate amount of topsoil layer. Vegetationally, the wetlands along the western side of the site are significantly altered vegetative cover. There's a lot of invasive plants in there. You have a lot of very dense, thorny brush at the ground surface and 3 to 4 feet above the wetland surface. It's very difficult to move through the wetland area for humans or for wildlife. They have to go establish trails through there. They have any passage. This has an effect on the overall wetland wildlife functioning of the existing wetland resources on the property. In the far northeastern corner, there's a small pocket wetland, highly disturbed soils from previous activities on the site. There's been the deposition of rounded gravel material. Also, some additional soils have been dumped in the areas around the wetland and somewhat into the wetland, but we can still identify the underlying wetland characteristics of that. This wetland is basically a herbaceous ground cover wetland. It has a number of species of emergent to wetland associated plants. There are some pockets of water, which I've looked at over time, because I have had the opportunity to look at this property for an extended period of time. There's no indication of any vernal pool activity in those pockets of wetland. They're of a very shallow nature, and they likely do not have sufficient water hydrology to function as vernal pools on the subject property. I did an original wetland function and values assessment back for the previous application. It's dated February 24th of 25. You can search that in the records and see what the comments that I made. In effect, what I found on the site includes suitability or existing functioning for groundwater recharge and discharge, primarily from that northeastern pocket wetland. You also have sediment, toxicant retention, and nutrient removal functioning because of the density of vegetation on the wetland surface. Water that passes through the wetlands slows in velocity, and you can have some settling out of sediments and any contaminants within the stormwater column as they flow through the wetland area. As I mentioned, wildlife habitat is present on the site. Probably the biggest feature of the wetlands on this site, to the west, there you have a corridor, a large corridor running north and south, which is, I believe, town-owned open space wetland corridor. This portion in the western side of this project would connect to that wetland, enlarging the overall volume of wetland and water and upland habitat, and the interspersion of those two habitat features for use by wildlife. The other and last feature that I found to be present and of somewhat significant characteristics is the uniqueness or heritage of this area. It's a relatively pristine unaltered by human activity as you move further to the west. And for that part, I've said that it does have those characteristics in evaluating the overall system. From a primary wetland function and values assessment, the sediment, intoxicant removal, the nutrient removal, and wildlife habitat functions are the significant and of most important resource value from a function and values perspective. That's a quick overview of the work that's been done to date. I have updated the soil wetland delineation report to reflect the wetlands, on-site wetlands that are shown in red on the subject property, and have submitted a revised, updated wetland delineation report. Believe it's in the application materials file. With that, I will stop talking and try to answer any questions that maybe from the commission members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very good presentation. I did have a couple questions. Bruce, on the page, was it page 7? Is it, I think it's
Plan set or of
the plan set, the plan set. Yes. Soil erosion sedimentation control,
Hold on one second. You know what I forgot?
sheet ES1.
Give me 1 second, sir. Just give me 1 second. Page 7, you said?
Yeah,
Here. This right here? Okay.
yeah. I have, oh. Okay, yeah, that's it. So I noticed some of the houses look like they have a runner going from the house, which I'm guessing is roof runoff, but not all of them. Is
Yeah, so and actually that was Ned, if I'll jump in. So we actually, as of yesterday, had a meeting with Bruce, myself, and the applicants. Originally, or as of now, the detention basin is currently sized so that it will actually collect all of the roof runoff from all these properties. The concern we had in our initial design of this was, as we know, the soil conditions kind of behind from units 1 through 4, based on test pits and everything that we had done, the soil conditions had slightly higher groundwater. So to be able to put those roof leaders into what we have done in the past for the commission and for staff is into basically infiltration chambers for each individual unit, is less practical, because if you have groundwater, 3 feet from the surface, or 3.5 feet from the surface, and you put a, 24-inch, unit, or even a 12-inch unit, your separation distance to that groundwater and the amount of water that can realistically infiltrate is limited. And so those could potentially fill up, and then they would be overflowing and just sheet flowing to what we have as designed as swales that run basically along either limit of our disturbance from east to west back down to these detention basins. In conversations, and so as if you look back, if you look at the what we've added as our presentation drawing tonight, you'll notice we've actually already gone through and started making some of those changes, which you can see now behind unit 5, behind unit 16, behind unit 13. What we've done is we've actually collected basically the roof runoff from 3 units at a clip and put those all into underground infiltration systems. And those systems we're preliminarily sizing now, so we know where things will fit. The soils on the south of this property have much greater distance to groundwater. They were all very sandy in all the test pits that we had done. Myself, Bruce, Tech and the excavator were out there and went and did all of these. And then as you get back by test pit number 4, which is behind unit 6, the soils again start to get very sandy and the separation to groundwater increases dramatically. So what we've done is we've kind of gone through and now um, not reflected on the plan set, but as one of the town's initial comments, already started to go through and look at that. And what our new proposal is showing is that the units where we have suitable soils and where we can fit these infiltrators in, where we know and we're very confident they'll be effective, we're going to group them together and put the units there. So that way we provide a more even groundwater recharge throughout the site, um, without effectively basically putting units in where we know that they're not going to work and function as well as we would like. The remaining portions, the remaining houses where we know that we can accomplish that, we're proposing to just connect back to the drainage system at the street, where they will drain to the detention basin, and the detention basin will provide the vast majority of that groundwater recharge through its design. Another change that we did make that's worth noting, footing drains on these units. We've actually raised a considerable number of the units up a foot or so to keep the basements out of the groundwater entirely. And our footing drains, we now have a kind of a common collection pipe that runs from east to west behind units 3 through 8, which will discharge the footing drain, any footing drain water that may come into contact with groundwater. Again, raising the basements of these units so that the basement slabs are outside of the groundwater. So that'll be much more limited than kind of in the initial design, but still worth noting. Some of the other units where that's less practical, again, and where we have the distance to do it, we've still proposed putting those footing drains into the drainage system, but kind of but that being much less frequent and not on all of the units in themselves. So where we have those kind of stubs coming out of the house and connecting to the catch basins and stuff on that original plan that you noted, that was, yes, the roof leaders connecting to those, and we have modified that kind of in the initial comment phase. And even though we haven't gotten through the full list of comments from staff and addressed the full list of comments from staff, we thought it would be worthwhile letting the commission at least digest some of this information and give us some of their initial feedback, so that as we worked through staff comments and addressing the rest of any other staff comments, if the commission had any other concerns or things they wanted us to take a look at, we could do that as well.
So this change that you made is the other thing I was looking at from that original drawing. There was, you have the arrows for where you expect the flow to go, both on the north edge and the south edge. But you also had like a stone check dam at different spacings. Are those still in the plan?
Yeah, so that is more of an erosion control portion. So during construction, when when the site's not fully stabilized and there's not lawns around all of these units,
Okay.
we would have, those are basically swales. They're swales for during construction that also are in the same location as basically permanent swales. Sometimes we would do them as temporary swales. Um, and basically where unit 8 is and where unit 10 is, you'll notice there's two large sediment traps. Basically, we don't want all of the sediment entering into the area of our detention basin. We want to let the sediment settle out in those first before it overflows into our basin. It keeps the bottom of the basin cleaner. It's less work kind of overall down the line. It means that your soil's not getting clogged and you will have better infiltration over the lifespan of the basin. So those arrows that are indicated there are in fact for the during construction phase, but they happen to fall in the same location as permanent swales. The check dams would be only there during construction. So the stone check dams would be there once the areas are fully stabilized, then those stone check dams are no longer, um, it wouldn't be necessary in some cases, like behind Unit 10, every 15 feet on that steep slope.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
so
yeah, I was wondering about that because I like, how do you control people not taking the stones out because they don't like the way they look? And but if it's only planned for the construction phase, then I understand.
yeah, once that's all grass and then you have less sediment actually traveling through those swales, it's of less concern. But basically, those are meant to help to kind of collect and catch any of that runoff and clean it as it makes its way down to the temporary sediment traps.
Okay. Let's see if the what other commissioners have questions. Andre?
Um, did you notate which ones you're taking out and which ones you're leaving in for those swales?
So the swales will remain for the lifespan of the project. They're basically permanent grading design. So the swales will always be there. So as the water kind of comes from the backyards of these units, instead of it being able to travel, across the property line, it'll stay in that swale and that swale will be maintained to keep the water flowing to the detention basin. The check dams, the stone check dams, all of those will be removed once the site is fully stabilized. So for example, let's say they kind of start their sequence of construction just from Plainville Avenue, working your way west. Units 1 and 2 and 17 and 18 are fully built, constructed, and their lawns are all established, and we're not concerned with erosion from those lots. There's no real reason to have the stone check dams still there. So as you work your way from east to west, and as the ground, and again, what it really comes down to is just the full stabilization of that dirt. Once you have fully established lawn and that dirt area is no longer at risk of washing out or eroding down toward the wetlands, then there's no longer really a need for those temporary um, wattles or check dams.
Okay, I thought I heard some of them were staying in and some of them were being taken out, so I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. I don't have any other questions at the moment. I think a site walk would be good for this.
Thank you. Rich Berlanti? Oh no, Rich Berlanti's out. Dave Fox.
Yeah, a couple of questions. At site number one, the first house there, looks like it's maybe 20 feet from the wetlands. Is there going to be some sort of, I don't know, rock wall or fence or something to demarcate the wetland and keep people in the backyard out of that area?
I'm not sure if it's called out. We do show a fence to be installed there. And there would obviously be there's a town of Farmington easement proposed in that location as well. Um, Conservation easement. So there would be the placards and we were initially thinking and planning for a fence of some sort, whether it's just a split rail fence or an actual chain link fence, something that makes it very understandably delineated to the property owners that this is a wetland, not an area to be disturbed.
Great. And also on number 9, it looks like the deck back of number 9, you step off the deck, you're starting to go down the slope right into the detention basin.
Yeah, so for unit number 9, that is basically designed as a walkout. So the deck would be elevated off of that unit, and then you would have a full walkout basement on the backside of that. And yes, it basically sits um, right at the top of the slope there. One of the minor changes that we did make was actually rotating that unit slightly, just so that it followed and fit those contours a little bit better, to make it a little less kind of dramatic as you work from north to south of how that's going to slope. And that way, if it's once it's complete, we found it necessary, we could put perhaps like another split rail fence or something along the top of slope there just to, make it again well delineated to that person that, this is kind of as far as you want to go before you're going down the hill.
Okay, thanks. Oh, one more thing.
Yep.
You're talking about the swales carrying the runoff, but the root, the road runoff is piped down detention basins, right?
Correct. So the runoff that we're talking about is basically just what's in the backyards of these units. And really it's more, the swales are there more to just control the direction of flow so that we're not letting any of that runoff water travel onto, to neighboring properties. It keeps it all on this property and directed to the basins for pretreatment.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, excuse me, Chair. Brian, do you mind just giving the commission a little bit of just dive into a little bit more on the storm drainage, so they understand where it flows, where it overflows to? And
Yeah, sure. So effectively, with the exception of the kind of the redesign, with the units where the roof runoff goes to the infiltration systems, the rest of those roofs again are piped to the storm drainage system in the street. As the water comes down the street, it's collected by all the catch basins, again from east to west, going down the hill effectively. It gets collected by all the catch basins. The catch basins then pipe and convey all that storm water to a forebay, you could call it, which is basically it's a pre-treatment basin. So the water fills up that basin, which allows for some settlement of solids and sediment of that nature. And then that basin would effectively overflow, go down a riprap channel, which is shown in kind of like the stone-looking pieces Bruce is highlighting there, into the main basin. The main basin is then allowed to fill up. Some of the water will go, for smaller storms, the water will start to go through the orifices in the outlet control structure. And then it will go through the weir in the outlet control structure. And then from that point, it is piped to a level spreader, which basically just diffuses the volume, or not the volume, I'm sorry, the velocity of the water, which then allows it to just kind of sheet flow out of that and back to the wetland, in a more kind of natural, less intense variation, as if you just had it coming directly out of that pipe. And then it flows back to the wetlands and is allowed to recharge that wetland. The way that the basins are designed, they're designed, and the sizing of these basins is designed to provide water quality volume, basically for all the impervious surface and for the entire site in itself. So the weirs, the bottom of the basin, for example, the weir of the outlet control structure is 18 inches wide and 6 inches tall is the first one, and it sits just above the bottom of the basin. One of the other redesign features that we are looking at with town staff is, now that we're taking some of these roofs out of the equation for how big that basin needs to be, can we actually reduce the depth of that basin by about a foot or so, effectively making the bottom of the basin much larger. And what that would effectively do is just give you more surface area for infiltration back into the ground and more groundwater recharge. But ultimately, either way, the water quality volume that we're providing is from the weir, where the first drop of water can actually exit the pond, the basin, to the bottom of the basin. And with the new stormwater quality manual, they have very strict guidance and guidelines and regulations on how much of that water we need to detain, how much of that water needs to stay in the basin for how long of a period of time, and how much volume we need to provide within that. By doing that, you're effectively treating the water, allowing the breakdown of more chemicals and that could be in the runoff from the road, and providing better quality water getting sent back to the wetland as opposed to untreated water just going straight off of the site. And that is a kind of a very brief synopsis of how that detention basin is designed to function. So again, not only do we have that kind of pre-treatment basin that overflows into the main basin, but even the main basin allows for some settlement of any sediment, any solids, and other chemical compounds that could be on the road.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Dave Fox, were you done?
Yeah. Oh, no.
No.
I guess
Okay.
I just came up with something different. Any thought to putting the hydrodynamic separator before it goes into that first basin? Might be easier to clean that out than to clean out that forebay basin.
They're effectively providing the same um, they're effectively providing the same service to the site. Hydrodynamic separator is basically just a mechanical version of the settlement basin. Um, the problem with the hydrodynamic separators is is velocity and volume. If you get a really, really large storm, those units can only handle a certain amount of flow. And so you're going to end up with sediments and stuff like that being forced through that unit anyway during very, very large storms. And then it's going to end up in that basin anyway. The other problem with them is that you effectively have to make sure someone's there physically opening it to see if there's a problem versus or to see if it needs to be cleaned, I guess is the better way to put it. With an open basin, it's much easier to see if it needs to be cleaned of sediment because you literally can at this point stand at the top of the cul-de-sac and look down at that basin and see how much sediment is actually sitting in it or not. Um, Again, they're effectively doing the same thing. I would also argue, for example, even just adding a hood to the last catch basin probably provides, uh, almost probably provides more benefit than adding a hydrodynamic separator, because the hydrodynamic separator is not going to accomplish the volume that the hydrodynamic separator can handle is not going to be the same as the volume that the little basin provides.
Okay. I guess the hood is a good idea then.
Yeah, but I think and I don't know, Bruce, actually, if a hood, I just noticed, I didn't notice on the plan if we specifically called one out, but I think that may have been one of the comments or items of discussion anyway.
Details, if I'm not mistaken. And just so the commission's aware, we have not done a full review of this at this time. So we are definitely working on that. I don't know if you can show. No, you don't show the hoods on there. So, all right.
Okay. Anything else, Dave?
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Robert Eisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few comments. I think one of the initial concerns we had when this proposal came through was the amount of filling on the west end of the development. So I assume that by reducing the number of house sites, you're substantially reducing the amount of fill. Is that correct?
Correct. So if you remember during the site walk, for example, you kind of got to that tree line and the site was fairly flat. I wouldn't say flat, obviously, but it was fairly flat in uh, relation to as soon as that tree line started and we started walking down that hill. So what we've effectively done on the site is that natural existing hill that's out there is basically right behind unit number 9, where it becomes a walkout and we go down to that basin. So this design basically reduces the amount that we're kind of filling up that cul-de-sac area where we had, 8 to 10 feet of fill in the cul-de-sac. in order to get everything up high enough to be able to make those houses work. So it definitely reduces pretty substantially the amount of fill we're doing on site. You can see even as you kind of look at the contours, like the 330 contours right in that range, we have 2 to 4 feet of fill in some spaces back there. But it's not the 8 feet, and it's not over as large of a distance where maybe 20 feet of fill at 4 feet to high in that location versus the cul-de-sac was probably just beyond the backside of number 9. And then by the time you put the houses in, yeah, there was 10 to 12 feet of fill in some locations.
Thank you for the clarification, and that's a positive improvement from my perspective. I also sort of share the same concern expressed by Commissioner Fox with lot number 1. Is it feasible to use the same conceptual foundation footprint that you're using for lot 9 on lot 1, or do you not have enough room to Plainville Avenue? So it looks like you just have sort of the same conceptual foundation footprint for all of the lots except for number 9. And is there the opportunity to pull that house a little further away from the wetland pockets so that, because whoever buys that house is going to want to use some backyard, so if we can create more separation between the house and the wetland, that would be a positive thing in addition to the physical barrier like a fence.
Okay, we can certainly look at, and I'll work with the applicant on maybe some additional kind of footprint options that maybe we could fit in there that work with that a little bit better.
Thank you. And then in terms of a site walk, Bruce, we'll get around to that. I've got a pretty good recollection from the first go, but given that we do have some new commission members, I wouldn't be opposed to doing a site walk, and it's always good to refresh memories on the specifics. End of my comments.
Thank you. Yeah, we do. As I look at the list, I think there's several members who weren't on the commission at the time we did that site walk, so I think it probably would be worthwhile. Dan Popovic, please. Questions?
The only question I noted was the fencing possibly behind number 1 and 9, but that's been answered. So I have no additional questions at this time.
And how do you feel about a site walk for this development?
That would be fine with me if it's what the
Okay.
group would prefer.
All right. Mark Simpson?
No questions at this time, and if we do a site walk, I'll be more than willing to join if I'm available.
Very good. Lana Carveth?
No further questions. I agree with Commissioner Eisner's concerns about Site 1 and possibly changing the building footprint. And I'm also available for a site walk.
Very good. Yeah, I agree. I think Robert made a good suggestion. Having a more narrow footprint there might help to still allow for some backyard, and so I'm glad they're willing to take a look at that. Frank Roth?
No questions at this time, Mr. Commissioner, and also I would be available for a site walk when that comes available.
Okay. All right. I think my questions were answered. So I will entertain a motion to accept this application.
Moved.
Dave will second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to accept the application. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. I think we had a determination for a sidewalk. I think most people agreed that does anybody else want to have input on that? Several of us already did. In the way of wanting a site walk. So I will ask Bruce to set up a site walk. Probably, Bruce, would it be best just to do it on the 15th as well? I'm guessing.
I'm thinking that it could be a little bit longer, just as long as everyone's aware, because that Fitterman Road one could be maybe an hour at the
Yeah.
easiest. It could be a long one, so then having to drive all the way to the other side of town. So it would be a pretty long day. I would assume we would be out of there by like 11 o'clock or something like that would probably be the latest. So, and Brian, do you have any problems with getting some of these things staked out again?
No, I don't think that'll be a problem. Would obviously, uh, you probably would like David Lord to be there as well. David, do you have any conflict or any issue with any of those dates?
No, I'm fine with that.
And so it sounds like we're talking about the 15th. Um, and you had one before this, so that you thought was going to be an hour, so at approximately 9:15.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
about, yeah, I'd say like 9:30 at the latest, probably, you know?
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, we should definitely be able to get the surveyors out there. I believe the wetlands are all still flagged. Um, assuming we kind of know where the center of the cul-de-sac is, given the sewer manhole for some bearings. Is there anything else in particular anybody would like specifically staked out? I'm gonna guess the corners of maybe unit one, the back two corners. And in the meantime, before we get out and stake those, I will take a look at number nine and see if we can make number nine fit behind there, and also talk to the applicant and see if there's another footprint, and maybe we could stake a couple different footprint options there so the commission can see kind of how close or how far we can get that away.
It'd be great to have this line marked out as well, or that, or the clearing limit marked out, okay?
Clearing
So the
limit?
commission has an idea where this basin is going, so somehow try to figure out where this basin is going down, because if it's still there, just make sure that we can sneak back through here too. I knew there was an opening here when we did
Yeah.
our last site walk, so just make sure we can walk back there safely, and then just somehow probably just give a couple points on this tree line so they know where that is, and I think the wetlands are probably still flagged, so we can just see that, just so they get an idea where this detention basin is on site.
Okay.
All right. And that's all gonna be weather dependent too, Brian?
Yep.
Okay, we just want to make sure the whole thing is if we get this weather and it clears up and we get a lot of the snow melt, then we'll go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be in touch with Bruce. We'll make sure we're on the same page. All right.
Commissioner Eisen has his hand raised.
Yeah, Bruce and Mr. Chair, if we're going to go down the slope and look at the wetlands on the west side of the property, when we were there last time, there was very clearly someone that was doing illegal hunting. So if the project team could let the owner know that no one should be hunting this time of year. Well, very clearly there were wildlife cameras and someone was baiting deer. So if we're going to be on that lower part of the property early on a Sunday morning, I don't want to encounter anyone hunting, and for our safety, just flag for the owner. If anyone hunts on their property, they shouldn't be down there this time of the year, and certainly not when we're going to be there.
I think the owner is no longer, the tenant is no longer on the property, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
So,
Brianna, are you on with us?
yeah, she was. Let me get her to talk here. Oh, where is she? Brianna. Brianna, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi.
Is the tenant still on site, or have they vacated?
Yes, no, they're gone.
They're gone. All right. All right, but still,
Okay.
we'll just still make sure that no one is trespassing as Commissioner Eisner said, just make sure no one's trespassing and using that blind for something. All right?
Yes, will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we will leave the determination of significance until after the site walk.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda. Ryan Murphy, 373 Collinsville Road.
Just a second, let me just close some of this stuff out here. I think the applicant was on.
Yep, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
right,
Okay,
good.
great.
All right, Mr. Murphy, can you give your name and address and just a explanation of what your situation is?
Sure, yes. My name's Ryan Murphy. I am the homeowner at 373 Collinsville Road in Unionville. This application is for the replacement deck on the property. It is a 26.5 by 12.5 foot deck on the south side of the home. The contractor that I had hired to perform the work did not do so before pulling a permit. So when the town was out there assessing a different permit, they had flagged the deck. And the contractor had gone through and put in his permit. I believe Bruce spoke to him via either phone call or email regarding the need to have this a wetland permit as well. The property is surrounded by YMCA Metro Hartford area, and there's a large hill behind the property that results in two large intermittent water courses that kind of flow around the north and south portion of the property. And so at that point, I had assumed that the contractor would follow through and submit this application. I was recently informed that the permit was still in process. So I am here kind of just taking it upon myself to try to get approval and get this straightened out and go forward with working with the town and getting a final inspection. So I think, Bruce has got the pictures of the older deck and the newer deck that is already completed. It's about a foot longer than the old deck. The old deck was, according to records, built in 1988. There were no footings. So the original plan had kind of just been to replace the decking boards. And then when they had taken the decking boards off, they realized that many of the joists had kind of rotted out and there were no footings, and that it was in need of full replacement. So that is what I have here, and I will open it up for questions.
Okay. So the deck is complete now.
Correct.
Okay. And Bruce, I think in your report, you said that the deck does meet zoning requirements and
Yes, it does.
regulations.
Yes, it does, Chair.
Okay. I don't have any other questions at this time, but let me ask the commission. Andre Simons?
So you said you're just only adding a foot, and that's only because the footers weren't there and some of the boards were rotted?
Ryan, you're on mute.
Sorry, yes, Andre, that's correct. We just, upon taking off the deck boards, there was really nothing, with any structural integrity to reinstall deck boards. It required a full replacement.
Okay, I don't have any other questions then. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dave Fox,
No questions.
Robert Eisner,
No questions. Thank you.
Dan Popovic.
I have no questions, thanks.
Okay. Mark Simpson.
The only question, I was looking at the pictures I have, looks like over the water course, there's some type of, I don't know, I didn't see, the water disappeared for a bit. So is there like a crossing across the water course? I'm not proposing it to be removed, but if there's any further work in that area, they would have to come back and get approval to, okay, there it is. And from the aerial picture, I saw something that looked like a bridge. So if they go and they want to put something across there, replace that, would they not have to come back to us and ask us for permission?
Yes, they would.
Okay.
Yes, they would, Commissioner Simpson.
That's the only thing I would like to point out to the owner. That's all
Okay.
I have at this time.
Okay.
Understood.
Well, let me ask the owner, what's the condition of that? The little bridge?
I mean, as far as I know, it's in decent condition, walkable.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, no immediate plans to replace it.
Okay. Uh, Alana Carveth,
No question.
Frank Roth.
No questions at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, one other question from the photos. There's quite a pile of trash that's building up, from your modeling. Is that going to be taken off the property or has it been taken off the property?
Yes, all the trash has been removed from the property at the moment.
Okay. All right. Bruce, did you have anything to add on this in regards to the cooperation and the timing?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
All right. I think it was a vague, because like I said, it was an existing deck on the property. They've actually slightly increased it by yeah, so they went up about a good 60 square feet or so. So
Yeah, about like a foot on each edge, all the
yeah,
way around.
if you look at these, it looks like there's a little notch in the deck, so they probably just
Yeah.
kind of bring it across like this.
Okay.
So.
All right, so we should Chair entertain a motion to accept the application.
So moved by Eisner.
Second,
I'll
Mark.
All right. Motion been made and seconded to accept the application. All those in favor say aye.
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 Bye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. I don't think we need a site walk on this, but does anybody else want a site walk on this? Okay. Hearing none, I don't think we need a sidewalk on something this small, especially since it's already been built. And a determination of significance. I do not think this is a significant construction, but I guess we'll poll the commission and see people think. Andre, do you think this is significant?
No, I do not.
Okay. Dave Fox,
No,
Robert Eisner,
Non-significant regulated activity.
all right. Dan Popovic,
I do not think it's significant.
okay. Mark Simpson,
It's not significant.
okay. Alana Carveth,
Not sig-
Frank Roth,
Not significant.
okay. So we have the termination that is not a skip. Do you need a motion and a vote on that significance?
We do. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
All
So
right,
moved as a
Gareth.
non-significant activity.
all right.
Robert.
And a second, please.
Second.
Okay, motion been seconded that this is not a significant activity. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. It's not significant. And next week or rather next meeting, we will vote on the application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bruce. Old business, cease and desist, 114 West Avon Road.
I have been in touch with a surveyor and engineer, and they are working with the owner on their estimate. So They have not signed a contract at this point, but they are in the process of working with them. So hopefully soon.
Okay. Are there any questions from the commission for Bruce? Okay. Is there any other business?
No, sir.
All right, planners report, 35 Mountain Road, Hillstead Museum.
Yes, give me a second. Let me load that right up. Dave Purbeck, the maintenance or grounds superintendent for the property, called me for those. Where'd it go here? Here we go. All right. Give you a quick little oops, wrong one. Just to give us some. I know there are some new members, so I want to give you a little bit of a background on this. Here we go. Hillstead Museum. Here's Mountain Road here. Here's the long driveway to come in. They came in 2 steps last year. This is an old garden area. I always want to call it the sunken garden, but the sunken garden's over here. But it's an old garden area and pathway that they found historically. So it's gone into disrepair, and they wanted to look to clean it up and reestablish this walkway. So they came in 2 steps. One of them was to clear the area of all of the invasives, and they did that with using a mechanical means and methods, going in there by hand, cutting it. Any of the larger stuff, they had a machine just grabbing it, pulling it out. They then came back the second time, once that was done, to get approval for a stone dust path that kind of meandered through this area. And this is all wetlands in this area, in the lower section. So now that that part is done, they'd like to keep the invasives in check. So they came, I got a call last week on it, and they're looking to do an invasive species management plan. So they have a contract here with all Habitat. They do a lot of work. They did the work, if people remember, over on Garden Street. Evan Coles had applied for a permit to treat the knotweed in his backyard down by the river. So this is a professional company that deals with a lot of wetlands and maintaining them. So they've got a proposal to go in here and using an herbal type treatment, or sorry, an herbicide to go in there and take care of most of this. So they're talking about, when it looks in here, they're hand mowing. Where say this? Without the herbicide will be mixed with an oil-based invert carrier and applied to the foliage of the targeted species in the spring and late summer. So their intention is to walk through there, spray the leaves, and to try to kill back the all of the invasive species. So I just wanted to bring it to the commission. It is another. They have a permit to maintain it, but it was done with the mechanical means. So now that they want to use an herbicide, I felt it'd be best just to kind of bounce it off of the commission and see if they have any concerns with it, and if not, I can have them just move forward with it. It is a 2-step process. Mowing of it. This is a little old. They got it in November, but there'll be a mowing portion of it, off-site removal of all the debris, and the spraying of it in this. It'll be spraying in the April, and then it'll be spraying in the fall. So that's their plan. If any of the commissioners have any questions or any comments?
And you're familiar with this company?
Yes. Yeah, they do a bunch, quite a bit of work here and in the state as well. They're down, I think, down by the shore, aren't they? I think they're down by the shore. I know, Branford. So close enough.
Okay. All right, so I'll open up to the commission if you have any questions for Bruce about the company or about the work.
I do have David Purbeck, the ground superintendent, on on the call as well. So if anyone has any specific questions that I can't answer, then I can definitely bring him involved.
I don't, I think they've been progressing well with the work that we have already approved in the past, so. Any questions? Going once, going twice? Sold. All right. So I will let Dave and the company work with you about any problems that might come up or questions that might have to be handled. You could do that.
Yep, I'll let them know
Okay.
from there. And I haven't. Oh, I apologize. Commissioner Eisner has his hand raised.
Oh, yeah, Robert.
Yeah, I would just add, as long as the application is in strict adherence to the use instructions, all pesticides and herbicides have strict label and use instructions. So when used in accordance with those, they're safe. The licensed company will be aware of that, but just to reiterate that, we're okay with it with strict adherence to the label instructions.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Let him know.
That's enough.
Yep. Thank you for your time on that one. The other one is, this is more of an update. If you remember the dock permit that we had for Wood Pond,
Yep.
late last year, was it? Or earlier this year? I lose a track time already. It's last year. So this was
Late last year.
this is the one with the shed. Yes, that's
Yep.
right. It was right before Christmas. So this is the
Yep.
shed. We're gonna finish that, and then they were gonna add a dock onto here. She
Yep.
came to me. There was a change in plans. Same dock, same size. The previous dock was a techno post, almost like they were going to be driving them in through the bottom of the soil. This is a little update just so the commission's for their own information as well. There's a contractor, I guess, elsewhere on the pond that has been doing other docks, and so she's hooked up with this person. It's a little different. It's actually a little bit of a bearing pad. So picture it like a piece of steel or a piece of aluminum. They'll put that on the base of the pond, and then they'll actually put the post sitting right on top of that bearing pad. And there's like this little portion, a spike or something that will set into that pond like 6 inches or so. So it's very, very minimal disturbance to the bottom of the pond. So it was interesting to hear his proposal. We bounced around some of my engineering thoughts and ideas, and they've done them all other places, so they have a lot of confidence in them. The big difference with this they like is that as the water level raises and lowers in the pond, the dock will float with it. The other system is a fixed system, so when that ice builds up, it picks up, it could damage the dock. This is a system that will actually move with it. So she's going to go with that one. I didn't see any concerns with it, but I wanted to let everybody know that there is a change in that plan, and hopefully for future permits, we'll understand different ways. Okay. And
Okay.
if you don't mind, I got one.
Anybody have questions for Bruce?
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
So Bruce, there's no drilling required for this. The post sits right on the lake bottom floor. It just
Exactly.
how's it installed?
It's just literally just put down the way he explained to me is it's a piece of an aluminum plate, and it just gets put right down in the bottom of the pond, and it's got a little, as it shows, a little bit of a, what do I want to call it, a stake or a little bit of a pointer at the bottom. That is what keeps that thing from moving a little bit. He said it only goes down about 6 inches or so. That's it. So and then this floating system sits right on top of that plate there.
Okay, thank you.
And it connects to it. And I said, that doesn't kick out, that doesn't slide. So the engineering in me went crazy, and he says, no, he answered all my questions. He said they do this everywhere else, and I guess there's a handful of them on the pond as well, and they've all worked very well. So,
So then that thing that whatever the support is that's coming up that's sitting on that goes into a pocket that's attached to the dock.
this floats as the ice. So when you get those ice jams or the ice builds up, this thing will raise and lower with that. So it doesn't, as you know, Mother Nature always wins. So you could
Yeah.
put you could put 1 inch carriage bolts through that thing and the ice is just going to destroy it. So he's claiming these things will float with it. So this is like on a hinge. So this will go up and down as the water flows with it as well. So I think it's a much better option than driving these posts, a couple feet or a few feet
Yeah.
into the ground, into the bottom of the pond. So,
Okay.
all right.
Very good.
And a quick one that's not on the agenda, just to give everyone a heads up. If you remember last year, the applicant for 10 Ridgeview Drive with that pool demo up along the wetlands. If you remember that big project, he was going to rip out the pool and the patio.
Right. Yeah.
He just called me today and he didn't get it done last year because the weather came in too quick after he got the approval. So he will be installing the erosion control and getting this started as soon as the weather breaks. So he gave me a plan for all the erosion control. We're good. I told him just to give me a call after it's installed.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Last thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 18th meeting. Chair entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So move, Mark.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Mark, second by Andre. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Robert will abstain.
Very good. Motion passes. Any other questions of the commission to Robert on anything? Or to Bruce, rather? To Bruce? Okay, seeing none, we will, excuse me, adjourn the meeting at 8:24 PM. And call the Conservation Commission into meeting start. Into my paper here. All right, is there any new business? Planners report.
None.
When is the recycling and hazardous material date, Bruce? Do you know yet?
I should know. Garrett was just setting that up with yeah, they were just setting it last night at the Green Effort Committee. So what I'll do is I'll get that and I'll send that out to everybody.
Okay. Is there anything else? Any questions of Bruce?
Hey, Bruce, along those lines, I noticed that the curbside pickup vendor changed. Did CWPM buy out the contract from Waste Materials Trucking?
The what pickup for the waste, or are you talking about the textile?
Yeah, curbside MSW, the truck changed this week.
Oh, did it?
My trash is picked up by CWPM, so I was curious if they bought out Waste Materials Trucking.
Well, you mean if waste material bought out that? Oh, sorry. Yes, exactly. See, I don't know. I'll find out.
Yeah.
That's news
It's
to
always
me.
been the White Materials Trucking truck, and
Yeah,
today it was
exactly.
a black CWPM.
Oh, I didn't know.
Maybe it was just loaned, a truck broke down or something.
Maybe.
Maybe you have good trash and somebody stole it,
It is Farmington,
I see people come out for the picking, when we have the bulk pickup.
Oh my
Hey,
gosh.
who knows?
Yeah.
They might be coming
Yeah,
out the
nothing
trash
lasts
now.
on the curb. All right, thanks, Bruce.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 18th.
Moved.
And a second, please.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of February 18th. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
I abstain, Robert.
Okay, motion carries. All right, so Bruce, you'll be contacting people about the meeting on the 18th,
15th.
15th. 15th?
Yes. Yep. I will confirm that with everybody for Wednesday.
Oh yeah, 15th. Sorry.
Everyone could just
Okay.
put that date in their in the calendars, as we said. We'll
Yep.
do, let's say 8 and 9:30. All right.
All right. Okay, so we'll call the Conservation Commission adjourned at 8:27.